Welcome to Lebanon Now's Conversation with Candidates. I'm David Millsap. The purpose of our conversation is to give you, the voter, insight on local races for school board, city council, local and state and county offices. Our conversations with candidates allow you to hear directly from those seeking office in the April elections, and as time goes by, the August primary and the November general election. 3 candidates are seeking the Lebanon City Council Ward 1 position in the April election. Jaret Scharnhorst, Jeremy Goforth, and Jeff Stokes. Jaret Scharnhorst is our guest here. He's a Lebanon native. He's currently the chief of staff for Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman in Jefferson City. Jaret, welcome to the show, and tell me why you're seeking election as a city council person.
Thank you, David. Very good to be here. So I'm seeking election as a city council person because I have been interested in government for as long as I can remember. I got involved in politics at a very early age and in kind of grassroots activism on my college campus, and from there went on to work in the state where I work now at the state capitol. And I've learned a lot about how politics and government works. And I've always been fascinated by local government, though, and local politics. And when the seat opened up for Lebanon, my home, I figured I might as well go for it. I want to lend my time and talents to help improve the place that I'm from, the place that I grew up in, the place that I desire to stay in the rest of my life. I love this community and this town, and I think my understanding about government and politics will help grow this town and help the people in it.
What are the top 3 challenges that lie ahead for the city of Lebanon, and specifically, how will you address those challenges?
The top 3 challenges that lie ahead for the city. Well, I think one is, kind of proper development, right? And I think that's really been outlined in the comprehensive plan that was recently adopted. And I think we're at a really critical stage here in Lebanon, and we need to make sure that we develop in the right way. And so that's one of the big things that I want to make sure that we do. We stick to that plan, and that we, again, make sure that we're building the city in the right way, because a lot of cities, they reach this stage and they take a wrong path, and that can be really harmful to the city as a whole. So I think that's very important. The other challenge is, of course, just, proper budgeting, proper use of city funds. I think the city council's done a great job in the past years of doing that, but want to make sure that we keep on top of that while we're in good times, and while we're in bad times, make sure that, the city money is being spent properly, is very important. And lastly, I think just continuing to make this a family-friendly community too. I hear from a lot of people. I've been out door knocking around the ward. I've knocked probably about half the ward now, and one of the common complaints, and it was one of the common complaints to when the public input was taken from the master plan, is where there's not enough kind of family options of things to do around town, and I think that's improving. And again, there's also only so much you can do as a city councilman, but whatever I can do to help make those things happen and those things be available, I want to be able to do that.
Specifically in Ward 1, what issues need to be addressed in that ward?
Yeah, so there's a number of things, and this is one of the questions that I'm asking when I'm going out and talking to people, I'm introducing myself and, talking about some of my positions, but then I'll ask, are you having any problems with the city, or are there any problems that you're experiencing where you live? And I've heard a range of answers that I think all need to be taken care of. There's some kind of drainage issues up by Indian Creek that some people are complaining about that I think needs to be taken care of. Just some pavement stuff over by that area, right? There's always the potholes and stuff like that. And I want to make sure that issues like that are taken care of quickly for people, and they're not left wondering, why can't the city take care of this? I've heard from people in that area as well about out closer to 5, how some of the trucks get very loud out there, and what maybe some sort of noise ordinance or something out there to stop the truckers with the Jake brakes or something like that. So there are just a number of issues that are going on within the ward, right, that I've heard from people specifically about, that when I come in day one, I want to go around and figure out what can we do to address the things that people have brought up to me.
The city council position is a nonpartisan election. You don't have to declare a party affiliation, but I think we would agree that most of the city residents are at least financially conservative. Within the last few months, the city has bought the former Lebanon golf course, which was used, taxpayer money was used for that. They've dedicated taxpayer money towards some improvements inside the ice cream factory. What are your thoughts on those two decisions?
Sure. So with the golf course, when that happened, I was, very intrigued, I think, like many people in town, what's going on here. But the more I looked into it, the wiser decision I think it is. If you've been out to the golf course in the past few years, I think its condition could be improved. And, the current owners obviously did not want to continue operating it. And so the city came in, and I think this is important that we keep a golf course here operating. I mean, the big thing that comes to mind for me, if the golf course were to close down entirely and nobody comes along to buy it, right, where are the high school golfers going to go? Are they going to have to go up to Camdenton every time they need to practice or do a game? I think that's pretty unacceptable. And I think most of the parents of, the kids on the golf team here at the high school would not want their kids going up and down North 5 every day whenever they need to do, their practice or their games. But also, this is one of those things where I think my experience comes in pretty big with the golf course, because also when this was announced, working up in Jeff City, I see a lot of people from around the state, from different cities, different counties. And I went around and asked, because I had never heard of a city owning a golf course, and I would ask people in the building, wherever they might be from, does your city own the golf course? And believe it or not, there were several people that said yes. It's not an uncommon thing. So Lebanon isn't doing anything super novel here. It's not unheard of. Now, as for the ice cream factory, I think it's important, right, that we keep jobs in this community, and obviously the ice cream factory, I believe, is already employing upwards of 100 people. And looking to employ more through this loan that was given to them. Now, I have my questions and reservations about it, though. They just opened up recently, and they're already kind of coming to the city for this interest-free loan. And kind of the questions I would ask is, why can't they get it from other places? Why do they have to come to the city for it specifically? And I don't know the full extent of the answers that they gave the councilman, and maybe there were some very compelling answers as far as that goes that would have maybe persuaded me to vote yes on that. But that on that move, I'm a little bit more hesitant. I'm also from a pretty conservative, kind of financial background. I'm a bit hesitant to pour money into stuff like this. But if you really set out some very compelling reasons in front of me, I think it might be possible.
Two ongoing issues that the city has tried to address for the last several years: blighted properties inside the city that are an eyesore, both commercially and in residential areas. The other one is the rising issue of homeless encampments, homeless or displaced people that are soliciting money at intersections and overpasses in the city. What needs to be done to address those issues?
In terms of the first question was with blighted properties, is that what's going
Correct.
on? Well, I think the blighted properties need to be a priority for the city to take care of, to do something with, right? Because we don't want that to be an eyesore. I think that that's actually a very important thing to a town and a community. When you start to build up so many rundown properties, that really affects just a person living in that town's total mindset. The aesthetics and the beauty of a town really do matter. It's not just a trivial thing. It's something that really needs to be taken care of. So I would think that needs to be a priority. And as far as the homeless, I think we need to do something to help these people. And I think there are a number of wonderful programs going on in town right now. There's some new developments being built to kind of help address this problem. But I would, be supportive of efforts to try and figure out what to do. with this, kind of increased homeless problem. But obviously something needs to be done about that, because when you get, too many and the problem's unchecked, I mean, you can see places in this country where, the governing authorities didn't do anything about those homeless for so long, and it got to a point where it got out of control. And I would never want our town to reach that point.
Is there anything else you'd like the voters to know about you or your campaign and plans if elected?
Well, I just want them to know that I will be their champion on whatever issues they have going on. Going back to the earlier part of the conversation where I talked about talking with people about what issues they have with the city. The big thing that I want to stress is, part of what I have done for work now for the better part of a decade is work with, legislators and departments and cities and counties across the state to help solve people's issues. And I want to help solve those same issues here locally. And so if anybody ever has any sort of problem that pops up, I want to be a champion for them, and I want to, work tirelessly to fix those issues. I think I've seen people in, kind of governing positions that get a little bit complacent and, it's just another complainer, right? But I think many people just want to be heard and to know that somebody cares about whatever their issue might be and that they're trying to do something about it. And so that's really my biggest priority, is making sure that my neighbors and their concerns are heard and taken care of as quickly as possible. So,
all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Lebanon Now just wants to encourage you to get out and vote in the April 7th election, both for City Council and the school board. For Lebanon Now, I'm David Millsap.
Your Vote Matters is sponsored by Boattown Brewing, City of Lebanon, Representative Knight of District 142, Representative Bill Hardwick of District 121, Hannah Kelly State Senate, Representative Melissa Schmidt of District 140.